This is Talking Bullish, your Bradford Bulls fan podcast. We're your hosts, Laura Micklefield and Alan Raisin.
We're going to have a look back at the match against Hull KR, a tough ask but a spirited effort from the Bulls side with some debutants. And then we're going to look forward to a match against Wigan where we go to visit the
Brick Community Stadium. That's right, yes. So, a lot to talk about this week, but not very many tries.
Yeah, it's one of those, again, I think similar to the Wakefield match where you try and go through and put what's happened, but if you put most of what happened in the match, it's just going to be...
sad, yes.
Yeah, it's just going to be opposition try.
But so, it was nice to be at Oddsall on, was it Sunday, Saturday? Saturday,
yeah.
Losing track of the days.
I woke up thinking it was Saturday this morning, so I'm really upset. But Saturday it was, wasn't it? But it was a lovely sunny day.
It was lovely, yes. I was considering taking a jumper and maybe a woolly hat, but no, the sun came out and it stayed warm.
Yeah, I did say that. It was quite funny because I'd seen that the weather was supposed to be quite nice and I was deciding what to take. And then I had my dad texting me being like, make sure you put some sun cream on, as dads do. And then Alan's texting me like, do you think I should bring a jumper? And I was like,
you know what Oddsall can be like.
And I says, to be fair, it's not a bad shout to think about just in cases at Oddsall, because it can be tropical one moment and then absolutely freezing the next, which I think everybody obviously has been to Oddsall, which most of the listeners will have been, will know that well. But yeah, luckily it stayed lovely and warm and it was a nice atmosphere. We were saying it were really good again to see away fans. I am really enjoying that in Super League. It's good to see that away end open and getting plenty of people in again.
Yeah, I obviously, it was a bit different to the Leeds game. Obviously, there were a lot more people there for the Leeds game, but it felt good mingling amongst the Robins supporters.
Yeah, it were nice. It were quite a good atmosphere. It was just a shame that there was a Bradford football match on at the same time. And I think they said it was I don't follow the football, but I think it was one where it was it in memoriam for the fire that happened?
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
but,
I think
okay.
so. And I think it was was it a last home match or something? I could be totally wrong. Yeah. And obviously anyone listening who does follow the football, tell me otherwise. But I think it was my point I was making. I think it was quite a poignant match to go to for the football. So if it was a choice between the two, I'm guessing people would have chosen the football, meaning that it did have a little bit of an impact on the crowd at the Bulls. But it still seemed pretty healthy to me. I mean, when you're looking at the amount of people I saw in the stadium whilst I was sat there in League One and Championship, it still looks pretty healthy. And I think it was just over 7,000, was it?
I think, yes, it was. Yeah, that's right. And we knew it was going to be tough, didn't we? Even before the match, obviously playing the world champions. So, we didn't expect too much. And, the first 20 minutes, what should we say, didn't disappoint?
Yeah, I think the first 25 minutes or so, wasn't it? It were pretty much what we were expected, and I felt like that was probably going to be the theme for the whole match. It was one of those where, it was just kind of, okay, I try.
And don't forget the six agains.
So to be fair, I've just had a look back when we obviously do the notes for this, and it's just so funny how every time there's a try, pretty much before it's like, following a six again. So, yes, lots of six agains for Hull KR. I think it was just that the team that was on the field, as we've mentioned, were quite inexperienced for some of the players in Super League, and they'd have to get used to the pace of the game. And I think that first 25 minutes, Hull KR came out absolutely firing, fast-paced, and we just couldn't keep up. I think it was one of those where it's a well-conditioned Super League side who's used to that start and pace versus a side from Championship that probably has to kind of work up to get to that pace. Yeah. So that's kind of what we saw for the first 25. And and an absolute shocker from Ethan Ryan, which I think he'd like to forget.
It's like one of the first chances we got to put a set together. They kicked it along, and then just as Ethan Ryan was about to play the ball to start the 7-tackle set, he dropped it.
It was a shocker. It was literally like tapped it with his foot to go and then just dropped it clean. It's one of those where I feel like It was a knock on, don't get me wrong. He tapped it, so you're ready to go. But I think some referees could have been a bit nicer and been a bit like, right, go back and do that again because it was scruffy sort of thing. But it was what it was. But it was just a shame because it was the first opportunity we had to have a 7 tackle set. Thought we'd probably get up into Hull KR's half, get a bit of a game going. And I think he'd rather forget that and not be too happy that we're mentioning it. But to be fair, he did have a brilliant match otherwise. One little... mark against him for that one, but we all have those brain explosions, and I think he owned that one. Like we say, not much to say about the first 25 minutes other than 6 agains and Hull KR try.
So it got to 24 to the Robins and 0 to the Bulls, and then on 30 minutes we had a big drive from Brandon Douglas, and he goes over his first Super League try.
Yeah, lovely try. Just straight up the middle, and it kind of went under the defence a bit and just plonked the ball down. I think there were 2 or 3 defenders trying to keep him out, so it was nice to see that he got a try. Obviously, he's been unlucky not to get kind of game time, and he's been out on loan again to Halifax, I think, for a week, and he brought back in because of the injuries. And it's good to see that the players who are getting an opportunity because of their injuries are capitalising on it. So it was nice to see him get a try, and a good try at that. Let's say he had to beat a few defenders to get over there, and luckily it was right in front of the sticks, so that was converted. So it was 24-6 at that point.
And then 5 minutes later, Aitken's kick bounces over the Hull KR defence, and Eden catches it and scores. And that gets converted, bringing it to 12-24. Yeah,
this was the old-fashioned thing of saying never let a rugby ball bounce, because if you let a rugby ball bounce, it can bounce anywhere. Yep. That's exactly what it did. Hull KR didn't commit to collecting it. It did a wicked bounce, and Eden were just kind of running up on the outside thinking, I'll take that.
Yep.
And dotted it down. So, quite good for him. Obviously, it was a loan signing that we've got in from North Wales Crusaders in the championship, and everyone will know Greg Eden, and he's got a prolific try scoring past, but he's not been in Super League for a while. But came back into Super League, scored a try, so you can't complain at that really. So good opportunistic score from Eden there, which, like we say, made it 12-24, and that was the halftime score. So considering that first 25 minutes was so Hull KR heavy, it was a pretty respectable scoreline at halftime.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased because, as you say, halfway through the first half, we were wondering whether it was going to be a record defeat, weren't we?
Yeah.
And then we pulled it back to a 2-score game. So, very pleased with that.
Yeah, I think it were impressive. I did really think they could have put their heads down and just rolled over, but they definitely didn't. The players stuck at it, stuck in there, and obviously took opportunities, and it was nice to get those couple of scores and get it within a couple of scores at half time. It was always going to be a massive ask, and I know when we were watching those first 25 minutes, I think we were working out it were over a point a minute at one point, and we were like, we were looking up I think we looked at what's the heaviest defeat we've ever suffered, and we were thinking we're going to beat some sort of records there. So it was nice to know that it was us being pessimistic and the team thought otherwise. So pretty optimistic, even though obviously behind, but it has to be expected. The second half, we kicked off, and it was pretty much, it seemed that it was going to go as a repeat of the first half, to be honest, because 43 and 48 minutes, Hull KR are in for a couple of tries, and it gets to 36-12. So obviously it kind of pulled away pretty fast at that point. Just same thing again. I feel like I think the start of halves seemed to be when we're quite, especially with the team with the injuries and the players with less experience, the time we're most vulnerable. I think other teams come out firing, and we kind of need a bit of time to get going, if that makes sense. So we were soon 36-12 down, unfortunately.
And then at 52 minutes, we get so close to scoring, but that's the player goes down. I can't remember who it was, but
I think it was Paposhi. I tried to look back on the feed, but it doesn't say.
But they just lose the ball in the act of scoring, so no try there.
Yeah, it was a shame because I thought, again, it seemed a similar pattern to the first half. They'd come out firing. We tried to fire back, but unlucky that we didn't get that. And after that as well, we did defend for quite a bit. Up until about 66 minutes, and then Hull KR were in again, and then 73 minutes just before obviously it ended, they were in again. But these patches in between, we did actually compete and defend quite well.
Yeah,
we just didn't manage to capitalise, and it was, you could just tell we were getting tired. We did a lot of defending in that first 20 minutes, which I think took a lot of the steam out of the team towards the end of it. But they did good to keep in it with the effort that they gave. And full-time score then, it was 12-48, which considering my prediction of 60-6, I was pretty chuffed.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad in the end, given that we were playing the world champions, as we say. I was gonna just quickly ask about the six agains. Do you think that is just sort of naivety, being new to Super League, not being able to get out of the way quick enough, or do you think there's anything else in that?
It's strange because maybe I am sat with my Bradford Bulls blinkers on, but it does seem like a lot of the times when Hull KR were messing about, there weren't six agains given. We got a few at one point, and even let's say I've got different friends who support different rugby league teams, and one of them was my partner's mum, who was texting me, who's a Rhinos fan. So if she's got her blinkers on, really, she should be going against Bradford. And she literally texts me saying, he's giving you nothing. Like, KR are getting six agains all the time and you're getting nothing. And I think maybe it's not me with my Bradford Bulls blinkers on. Yeah. It just seems like we're getting really punished for that. And I'm not making any reference to the referees being biased in a sort of way. No. I just mean, I think maybe, I don't know, that they're obviously seeing something we're not. Like when there's messing about at the play of the ball, it seems to be that any time it's any little bit, even if you're trying to get off them, we're pinged for it. But then another team, the opposition team, doesn't seem to be getting as many. I'd love to see the statistics actually of how many six agains have gone against us versus others. And I don't think it's some sort of conspiracy, don't get me wrong. I'm just, it's just interesting because it's not just me noticing it. Like you say, is it that we can't keep up with the pace? Is it because we've come from Championship and they're trying to get used to it? But I don't feel like it is that way. I think we are. We do seem to be pretty quick. We get the tackle, we seem to get off. It just seems to be that we're getting pinged a lot for it, and I'm not really sure why. And that's what's killing us. We were saying that in that first 24 minutes or so. Every time there was six again, it's pretty much led to the try. Yeah. If because we were even talking, weren't we, at one point, saying if the rules went back to how it was without the six agains, would that score been a lot different? No, probably not. Like Hull KR would have still won quite convincingly, but I don't think they'd have got as many tries as they did. I mean, when you're defending on top of defending, and then it's try, and then it's defend on top of defend again, you're always going to be letting those tries in. Whereas if it wasn't like that, and the ruck was a little bit slower and gave people a chance to get up, it might have been different. I'm not saying I don't like the quick game. I do. I think it flows better, and I do really like it. But I can see if I were a player that I wouldn't. It's a lot, and I think, is this a reason for so many injuries as well? Speaking of that, before the match, we actually spotted Luke Hooley sat in the stands.
Oh, yes.
We were like, is he sitting with us today? So my nephew and my dad went down to just say hello and have a little talk to him, and they came back.
We were too shy, weren't we?
Yeah, we were too shy. We thought if we go asking about people coming on podcasts, they'll probably just say no. So we didn't want to try. But anyway, yeah. So they went down to have a little chat with him, and he was saying that hopefully he'll be back in a couple of weeks, which is positive. But they asked him the question about the injuries and said, what does he think as a player? And he was saying he does think it's the speed of the game that's causing so much more injuries.
Oh, very interesting.
So I'm wondering, because the speed of the game results in obviously more six agains, because you try to get off people quicker and all the rest of it, you're having to defend more on the back of set after set. Is this what's causing it? It's interesting because obviously it's kind of the worst we've seen injury wise in a while for a lot of teams. So it is interesting to see if that's the reason why.
So Ethan Ryan gave his reaction as well as Kurt after the match. Obviously, he was disappointed with the result, but he said it was an opportunity for the less experienced players like Gardner and Gill.
Yeah, it was really good for Gardner to get some game time. Obviously, he's been injured since we signed him. I think the first time we saw him at a event, he were in a big leg brace, so that's been a long time coming. So it's nice to see him get a go, and I think he played well as well. And it was really good to see Jamie Gill make his Super League debut. Obviously, he's come through the academy and been with the club a long time, and hopefully more to come. It'll be similar to Ebensker. I'm hoping that it'll just be a Bradford player who wants to play for Bradford who gets to get more time in the first team. So yeah, adversity, it brings opportunity as well, doesn't it? As Ethan has alluded to, and it was nice. And also a shout out to Ethan as well that he got to captain the club. Obviously with the absence of the captain and both vice captains through injury. You don't often say that, do you? So all three, he got the opportunity to be captain of his boyhood club that he supported as a youngster, and obviously came up through the academy. So I think that was a big moment for him as well. And big congratulations on it, because he did a brilliant job. He run his blood to water, and he also earned the Bradford Bulls man of the match as well, and it was well deserved.
Yeah, and he was saying about training being strange. Obviously, we mentioned in our last pod that there were only like 15 players fit for training. So yeah, midweek they had 15 in training, much fewer than they'd like, I guess. And they just didn't know where they were going to be playing. And like Kurt referenced this as well in his reaction. So like Kurt said, he's not able to play the way he wants. He's having to strip it right back, simplify the game. But Ethan reckons that in like 3 to 4 weeks, it might all be different, might even itself out. So, yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope once we get some bodies back, it'll change a bit. And I know that Kurt says he likes to play expansive rugby, but I just don't think there's been much opportunity for it, because we were lucky to get the ball. A lot of the time it was a lot of defending. So once you have the ball, to try that expansive play, I suppose, means that you risk losing the ball more, meaning that you're defending more. So it's a bit of a catch-22. And yeah, it is more of a kind of basic rugby league that we're having to play at the minute. And it is to be expected if players are playing out of position, which several players were again this week. And 15 players training before the match. It's really not ideal.
You can say that again. In the other matches this week, unfortunately, we had another few losses. So the women's team lost to Hull KR 4-12. The reserves lost to Hull FC 22-58. And the wheelchair team lost to Sheffield 48-74.
Yeah, we did get one win, though. We did. The wheelchair reserves got a 34-32 win against Sheffield. So that sounds like quite an exciting, close match for that one. So congratulations to the wheelchair reserve team. But not the week for Bradford Bulls this week, I suppose. But you can't win them all. And it's the taking part that counts, as the saying goes, isn't it? But no, it seems like we've been competitive in quite a few of those. And I know the women's team did say it was quite a close competitive match as well, only a couple of tries in it. So that's true. Hopefully we were looking forward to some more wins in the future, but not to be this week.
So the hitman was Mitch Suter.
Yeah, so Mitch Suter as hitman. I was really pleased for Mitch. They said it was a kind of close run between Brandon Douglas, Mitch Suter and Ethan Ryan. And all three would deserve it. And I think all three were standout players for the team this week. And it was nice for him to get an opportunity. Obviously, with Ackers out, it gave him a full 80 minutes in the hooking position. And I think he played really well. And I think he's proved himself, and hopefully gives Kurt a bit of a headache and gets a bit more game time.
And so we look ahead to Wigan. So Ethan said that Wigan aren't on form at the moment, which I think is a little overstating it. Yeah. I mean, in the last 6, they've only won 2, but I don't think you can really read too much into that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I know they've been suffering with some injuries as well. But I think they've got a few bodies back now, and yeah, obviously it's a home match for them as well, so that'll be quite difficult. But yeah, when you do look, they've not been on great form. They've lost against Warrington 23-6 and Castleford 24-14. They had a win against Wakefield, but it was quite close, 26-22. Loss against Saints, loss against Huddersfield, which is quite that was the shocking one of that round. And they won against York, but York
only by a point.
Yeah, so they've not been the Wigan of old, but we know that they can compete, and obviously we've already played them in the Challenge Cup and suffered a heavy defeat. So I'm not looking too much into that. Like you say, it's one of those. If we had a full strength team, I think this would be a really good time of year and opportunity to get a good win against them. But with the situation we're going through at the minute as well, that's probably looking unlikely. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's how it is. Let's say we'd all like to see the matches where we've got full strength teams, but unfortunately, that's not the state of play at the moment.
Yeah, so Kerr was saying that there's possibly one or two players that could come back from injury that probably shouldn't come back from injury, but probably might have to come back.
Yeah. It's Andy Ackers and Guy Armitage are both in training and they're in contention to feature. So it'd be good to get some edges back, especially with Guy, because that's where we're lacking at the minute. He also hinted that there's some loan moves, but it's too early in the week to say about that at the minute. But we kind of know a little bit of the timeframes on some of the injuries. So that Joe Mellor and Jack Ormonroyd, Jack Ormonroyd was back this week, but he's actually now injured with his hand. Eben Sker's got a calf injury, and Joe Mellor with a meniscus injury will be out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. But it sounds like Jaden Nikarima, Luke Hooley and Rowan Mills should be available for the game against Hull FC in 3 weeks' time. That's the hope. Let's say we spoke to Hooley himself and he seemed positive it were a couple of weeks. So, if we got those back, we get as 2 first-choice halfbacks back, plus a backup halfback back. So that's a sentence to say, isn't it? But that would be... that would be brilliant, but obviously none of those are back this week, so just the 2.
Yeah, and although you said that Jack Ormonroyd went out, I thought we kind of got through the KR game fairly sort of well without any injuries. So,
when we look back at the other injuries that we've sustained in all the matches so far, it seemed like pretty light on injuries, which is really good. Just looks like it's the Jack Ormonroyd one, but I don't think he was 100% anyway, because I know he'd sustained a back injury in the Wakefield match, but then it said he was 50-50, but he played. Maybe he shouldn't have played. It's one of those where we say, I think people who are like, right, if you've got a bit of a knock but you're all right, you're playing. But yeah, so yeah, we'll wait and see if obviously if Jack's out and Eben's out, that's a couple of forwards again that we're missing. And yeah, obviously we know we've got a problem with the halfbacks, so yeah, watch this space. Maybe it'll be an opportunity for some more young players or couple of lone players coming in. We will wait and see. So yeah, it's going to be tough again. I know we're getting out on form, but we are struggling, and obviously it's away and it's a wider pitch. So predictions then, Alan?
Well, before we move on to this week's predictions, I should recap the performance of our last predictions. We kind of had slightly opposite predictions for last game, so I was fairly optimistic with a 12-36 defeat, and you were quite pessimistic with a 6-60 defeat. Both of those seem to sort of land in the middle, and we both scored 10 points, bringing your total to 97 and mine to 93. So that's how we're doing, so still not very well. But yes, well, Laura, you kick us off with your prediction, please.
Interesting one. Right. I'm hoping, again, we get a couple of tries at least. So I'm going to go for Wigan 26, Bradford 10. So I don't think we'll beat them.
No.
but I don't think it'll be super close, but I think we'll compete. And because obviously we've competed against Wakefield and Hull KR, and it's been quite a distance between the scores, even though we've competed, I kind of feel a similar thing with Wigan, but because they've not seemed to be posting points the way they're doing, that's how I feel it should go. And I think that's quite an optimistic score line, and I'm hoping I'm right with that and we don't just get absolutely hammered on points difference again.
Yeah, I'm going to be less optimistic, I think. I think that we might let in, say, can we say 32? And then maybe we could score 18.
Oh, okay.
So, 13, 18.
Yeah, so optimistic in attack there, Alan.
But I will say, I don't know if this interferes with your research. We were talking about the record losses. In fact, the last time we played Wigan at the DW Stadium was in 2014, and we lost 84-6, and that was our biggest loss in history.
Yeah, let's not have a repeat of that, please. But it doesn't interfere with my bull or no bull, thankfully.
That's good.
I have got 3 different facts for you. So, I'm glad that your fact finding on the Wigan Warriors didn't interfere with my game. But so with that, it's time for
Bull or No Bull.
Yes, so this week I will give Alan 3 statements. He will have to decide which one is bull and which 2 are no bull.
And hopefully you'll do a better job than I did last week, where it all went wrong.
Well, let's say it depends on. I used a bit of AI this week to find my facts for me. It turns out the easiest way to do a bull or no bull when you've got 10 minutes when you're sat in a dentist waiting room is to ask AI to give you some interesting facts about Wigan Warriors. So here are your 3 statements, Alan. So the first one is the club originally wore blue and white striped jerseys. They only adopted the famous cherry and white hoops in 1985. The second fact is that Bevan French set a Super League record on the 15th of July 2022 by scoring 7 tries in a single game against Hull FC. The third fact is between February and October 1987, the club won a record 29 consecutive games across all various competitions.
Okay, they're a bit different to usual, bit harder, I might say.
Well, I said, give me interesting facts. So they think these are interesting facts about Wigan Warriors.
So 2 of those are definitely interesting facts. Not very happy about whatever one might be wrong. So, okay, going through them again. So their colours used to be blue and white, did you say?
Yeah, and they only got the cherry and white hoops in 1985.
That seems very late, but given that they're known as the cherry and whites, which I did find out on my research. And then so they won a record. How many? 29
consecutive games between February and October 1987, and that's in all competitions that they played.
That's a lot of games. Lots of games.
And then the other one was Bevan French set a Super League record on the 15th of July 2022 by scoring 7 tries in a single game versus Hull FC.
Okay, well, they all sound very interesting. I'm a bit dubious about the kit, but I think I am going to go with the record for the unbeaten run being
29 consecutive games.
In 1 year, you can't play 29 games
across various competitions.
But still, that's a lot of games. So I think that one is bull.
Right. Well, according to Copilot, that is no bull. So apparently between February and October 1987, they won 29 consecutive games. So
incredible.
It'd be interesting to look into all them and see what they are. If you're a Wigan fan, if you're not, you're probably not that interested. But apparently it is true. The other true statement was that Bevan French set a Super League record by scoring 7 tries against Hull FC in July 2022. So you were kind of right when you first said about your first statement, because I did tweak it slightly. So yes, I said that they originally wore blue and white striped jerseys and adopted the cherry and white in 1985. They actually adopted it in 1885, 100 years earlier. So you were correct when you were like, that seems a bit late. It was, I had changed the date. So that was the Bull statement. But yes, there you go. Some interesting facts about Wigan Warriors. Bet you're all glad for knowing them now.
Yes, and I'm just checking this.
He's trying to fact check my Bull or no Bull.
I am rugby league
after
project.
He did it wrong last week. But yeah, it will be interesting to know if that is actually correct and if we can trust AI. And if it is wrong, it just proves that don't always rely on AI and trust your own research. That's the lesson of the podcast this week.
So that brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you very much for listening. Make sure you check out our slightly disappointing website, which I do plan to update with some more stuff in the near future, but just haven't had that much time.
Yeah, we hope you keep listening to us. We notice there's a dip in listens when we lose, which is understandable because who wants to hear us wittering about losses? But it is nice to know that they did pick up the listens last week. So people do like to listen to us witter on regardless of win, lose or draw. So thank you for listening to us and to our loyal listeners who are subscribed as well. Obviously, if you're enjoying it, we're enjoying doing it as well. So get in touch if you have anything to say. And if not, we will see you next week.
And maybe if you're going to Wigan, it's 3 p.m. on Saturday, or maybe you're watching on the telly. But however you do it, let's cheer on the Bulls and see you next week. Yeah. And I have just finished my fact checking, and in fact, it is correct.
Oh, okay.
There we go. So